Welcome back, GED scholars and math warriors, to the last episode in the Math Wars, the Trilogy Awakened series. We are on episode 3 today, and it is the return of the calculator. For those of you who watched episode 1, a decimal point, and episode 2, a fraction strikes back, you know that we practiced completing these types of problems by hand. We didn't use the calculator because there is going to be part of the exam, and we're going to talk about it in a moment, that you're prohibited or not allowed from using the calculator. So it's important that you pay attention to those types of problems. So as you can see from your screen, we're in episode 3, the return of the calculator, where we will be using our calculator. And we're going to make sure we know where all the buttons are as far as completing fraction and decimal questions. There are also specific calculator videos that deal with the data key or maybe using the table key to help you with different types of problems. So please make sure you take a look at those. As I mentioned, there's a section of the math exam where you're not going to be able to use your calculator, and that will make up 12% of the exam. So that means the other 88% of the exam allows the calculator. So I know a lot of students, I have those types of students myself, and I understand where it comes from, where they panic about this 12% where they're not going to be able to use their calculator. They study so much on these different types of problems that we know about can possibly pop up on the section. But folks, I'm letting you know, look at the difference, 12% versus 88%. The 12% is like 5 to 6 questions. So even if you got all of those wrong, as long as you study for the rest of the exam, you learn how to use the calculator as your tool, you will be perfectly fine, folks. It is 88% of the exam. That is going to allow you to use your calculator. So please do not worry about that section. I'm not saying don't study for it, but I'm saying don't dwell on, oh my gosh, I'm not going to pass this exam all because of this 12%. So let's go ahead and jump into this video and learn how we can use our calculator when it comes to completing decimal and fraction problems. So when it comes to the calculator, which the TI-30X3 multi-view will be the one you'll be able to use, and you can either use a physical one if you go into a testing center, but if you decide to take the exam online, you would use a screen version of the calculator. You won't be able to use a handheld if you are taking the exam online. So just be mindful of that. I always tell my students to go and get an actual calculator, a handheld calculator, and I always tell them to walk into a testing center or make an appointment and go into a testing center. I think that it is a better idea versus testing from home because a lot of things can pop up at home. So you want to be mindful of that as well. When it comes to the calculator and decimal and fraction problems, you want to make sure you're mindful of some of these buttons. So the first one that we're going to pay attention to is the fraction button. And the fraction button is going to be the third row down, and it's going to be the second column to the right. And it's what I just circled. And that key will have an N over a D, numerator over denominator. If you notice above that key, there is a green U and then the N and D. And yep, folks, if you use the second function key, which is this top green key, and you hit this ND button, you would now have the mixed number. And when it comes up, folks, you're going to want to make sure that you are using the arrow keys right over here to move about versus if the cursor is in the numerator and then you need to get to the denominator. So be mindful of that as well. So the next key I want you to pay attention to is to the right of this fraction key. And I know it says 10 raised to the power of n, but that's not what we want to pay attention to. You want to look at the green wording, which means you have to hit the second key, the second function key that's bright green, and then you'll be able to use that function, which is what you would do if you want to toggle between an improper fraction and a mixed number. So in the fraction video, we talked about how to do that by hand, right? If you have an improper fraction, how you can turn that into a mixed number and how you can go back from a mixed number to improper fraction. Well, the calculator can do that for you as well. And like I said, hit that second function key, and then the key is the third row down, third column in. And then of course we have in the bottom right, we have your toggle key. And this toggle key is between fraction and decimal. And so if you get an answer and it's a decimal, you can hit the toggle key and it'll show you the fraction equivalent. So let's go ahead and use our calculator to take care of these problems. And folks, make sure you're practicing using your calculator because you don't want to just assume that you're going to be quick on it. You want to just practice, know where all the buttons are, and you should be good to go. So let's go ahead and get started. And we're going to take care of this the way you should with speed, but once again, be careful of what you are inputting. So I have 3.5 plus 1.87 plus 2.009. I'm going to double check to make sure I inputted those numbers correctly, and it looks like everything looks great. So I'm going to hit enter, and we get 7.379. Let's move on to the next problem. So next we have fractions. So I'm going to clear my calculator and I have mixed numbers. So I want to make sure I'm going to hit the second key and I'm going to come down to the fraction key. But because I hit the second key, I will get a mixed number setup. So I'm going to type 3 and then with the right arrow, move over to the numerator and we're going to do 2, down arrow 3. And then you got to make sure you hit on that right arrow to come out of that fraction. And then we're going to do minus second mixed number key, 1, right arrow, 5, down arrow, 12, right arrow, everything looks good. I'm going to hit enter and you get 9/4. And if you're looking at your answer choices and you only see mixed numbers, you can go ahead and use your calculator by hitting the second key and then come down 3 rows and then 3 keys to the right. We're going to hit that key where it's telling you, okay, if you have an improper fraction, we can convert it over to a mixed number. I'm going to hit enter and you get 2 1/4. Well, say you're looking at your answer choices and you notice that it's not in fraction form, it's in decimal form. Well, all we need to do is we're going to come down into the bottom right and I'm going to hit my toggle key and it's going to let me know that 2 1/4, the decimal equivalent is 2.25. In addition to the toggle key that's in the bottom right-hand corner, some of you might have noticed that in the third row, fourth column over in green, we have F and then the toggle key for D. And folks, it does the same thing. If I hit the second key and click on this key, it's going to give me the decimal equivalent of this fraction, and it's 2.25 like we saw. So let's move on to the next problem. Let's clear our calculator. So I have $25 and decimal key, folks, is right down here. It's the bottom row, it's the middle key. $25.35 times 15, hit the enter key, and you get $380.25. And one more problem we are going to tackle is a fraction. So I'm going to do second, and then I'm going to hit that fraction key. I want the second function because my first number is a mixed number. I'm going to do 10, right arrow, 1, down arrow, 2, right arrow again to get out of there. And I'm going to hit the divide key, and then I'm going to hit the fraction key, and I'm going to type 1, down arrow, 4, right arrow, and then I'll hit enter, and I get 42. So could we have done all of these by hand? Absolutely, folks. But as I stress and I share with my students, when you can use a tool, use the tool, folks. Get to know how you can use this calculator to help you out. Thanks for watching episode 3, Return of the Calculator. Please remember, folks, we have a lot of different calculator videos that you can check out to find out how not only to use the calculator for fractions and decimals, but also to help you with scientific notation, with finding the points of a line, a lot of ways the calculator can help you. So please make sure you review that. Please make sure you visit gedtalk.com/resources to download worksheets with their answers. And folks, if you run into a problem on one of those worksheets and you can't figure it out, come back to the video or send me an email from the website and let me know you're having a problem with it, and I'll go ahead and help you out as best as I can. You know what you're doing, folks. You've got this. Keep your head up.